How you doing?
I'm okay.
Happy Wednesday to you, sir. Happy Wednesday to you.
I am okay.
Did you hear me?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Because I said happy Wednesday to you.
It's a Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
It's been a
All
long
right.
day. It's been a long, long day for me today.
Okay. Well, we were running. I was running late, and so I didn't have time to tell you this. But we have some guests. Y'all be on the lookout for some announcements. We have some guests that are going to be joining us hopefully over the next couple of weeks.
Oh,
Um,
I had no idea.
I know. Well, one I did talk to you about. I did talk to you about one. The other one I hadn't talked to you about. We haven't confirmed a date or time yet, but I did reach out to. She's really big on TikTok. If you, matter of fact, I meant to send you some of her TikToks. Ridgemont's finest. She is an educator out of Texas. Remember, I was telling you about her. So we are trying to secure a time where we could just sit and talk issues. I told her that we wanted to talk about school choice. We wanted to talk about the alternative schools that programming that they have going on down there in Texas, that we've spoken on, and as far and the curriculum uh,
Cal, I
changes.
just saw today that they voting to extend their calendar for this year, not next year. This year.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So those are the things we're gonna. So anyway, just be on the lookout, you guys. We are confirming that ASAP.
Hmm.
Anyway, we also have a children's book author, former educator that's written some children's books. That's Darius. I did talk to you about Darius. We're still trying to confirm that. So you guys, we have some educators coming our way to come and talk to us. But today we have a couple of issues. Issues isn't the word I want to use. Topics to discuss. Hey everybody, and welcome and welcome and welcome again. Um, yeah, let's get into it. Anything you want to share with the people before we jump on in? We're gonna jump on in. As the people
Um,
would say, we're gonna jump, jump, jump to it. Hey, hey.
I'm Whitney. I have nothing.
I can't stand you. Anyway, where do we want to start? We have Denver, we have Oklahoma, and we have Indiana. So here's the thing. I think we might be making history right now because we do not have Texas or Florida on the agenda today.
Wait, didn't I send you four? Hold on.
I only have three.
I sent one yesterday.
Oh, you did send one yesterday. I'm sorry.
And
So we
that
do
one
have.
is in Texas.
I'm sorry. My bad. You're right. I forgot you did send me one yesterday, and that is Texas. You are absolutely correct. I remember now. Okie dokie. So I take that back.
That one is, and that one's in your wheelhouse.
Oh, I take that one back. Okay. So
Yeah,
where do you want to
Texas
start?
said 2024. Texas said they would not be beaten this year. They would not. Can we? Let's do the drag queen.
Let me tell you what you won't be doing this year. Let me tell you,
Hmm.
we will not be denied. We will not be denied
Let's
this year.
do Oklahoma and then Denver.
Okay, so we're gonna start in Oklahoma, you guys. Hold on, let me do this. The drag queen, you said? Excuse
Yeah,
me,
that's for
drag queen, you
Oklahoma.
said? Okay, let's jump into it, you guys. I'm gonna put the link in the chat while we go over the article. This is coming from the Washington Times. This is dated February the 5th. Headline reads Superintendent cheers big win after Oklahoma drag queen principal resigns. This already sounds like something that's going to irritate my soul, but okay. An Oklahoma City elementary school principal who moonlights as a drag queen has resigned in what the state superintendent called a big win for schools. Excuse me. Shane Merman, principal of John Glenn Elementary School, In the Western Heights School District stepped down last week after months of scrutiny into his drag persona, as well as a charge of child PORN possession that was dismissed more than 20 years ago. Okay, I'm gonna just keep reading. Oklahoma State Superintendent Ryan Walters, who announced Mr. Merman's resignation, called it a great day for Oklahoma City schools. Big win today. The drag queen is out at Western Heights, said Mr. Walters in a video posted last week. I demanded it from day one. This individual shouldn't be in a school. You should not be working with young kids. I heard it from parents all over the state, all over the country. This is not what parents want for their kids, he said. He also said the state would investigate the decision by Western Heights to hire Mr. Merman, saying we will ensure that those individuals that allowed that to happen will be held accountable. What is going on with their hiring practices? Why would the superintendent allow this individual in the schools? We are just now beginning our investigation into how these things happen and further ramifications for the school. It will not be tolerated here in Oklahoma to have drag queens in the classroom. Can I say something first, and then I'm gonna give you the floor? Can I please?
You gotta finish reading. It's a whole article.
I thought I was done.
No.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me go back to the article. I'm my bad. I thought I was done. Hold on. Oh,
Mr. Merman told non-doc.
That's where it ends on my. That's where the article ends on my end.
Mine says Mr. Merman told Non-Doc, a nonprofit news publication, in a Friday interview that he submitted his forced resignation on January 26th after Western Heights officials told him he could resign or be fired. The Washington
I apologize. I see it now.
The Washington Times has reached out to the district for comment. He was promoted in June to be principal after 26 years in public education, including a stint as an assistant principal, but the district was hit with a backlash 2 months later after libs of TikTok ran an expose on his drag queen persona and previous arrest. Mr. Merman performed in wigs, heavy makeup, and risque costumes under the name Chantel Mandalay. In 2021, he read books to children while in drag as part of an online event for Pride Month, sponsored by the Metropolitan Library System in Oklahoma County. In September, Mr. Merman said that he received multiple death threats. The uproar prompted him to pause his weekly performances at The Boom, a gay bar in Oklahoma City. Quote, back in that time, being gay was not acceptable. I mean, that was nearly 25 years ago, and gay wasn't acceptable, end quote. That's what he told Non-Doc. He also said that 2002, he also said that the 2002 child PORN possession case was part of a witch hunt. 4 deleted images were found on his computer, but prosecutors declined to appeal after a judge dismissed the charge over doubts whether they could prove he was in possession of the pictures. The charge was later expunged. Mr. Merman recently went on paid administrative leave after a semester in which he worked remotely for much of the time over concerns about security, resulting in about $65,000 in additional costs for the district, according to the Oklahoman. The Western Heights School District addressed the charges after hiring him last year to lead the elementary school. Quote, recently, the district has been made aware of previous charges that were dismissed more than 20 years ago. Dr. Merman has been serving the field of education for more than 25 years and has an outstanding reputation. He comes highly recommended by previous supervisors, colleagues, and educators, end of quote. And that's from the district statement back in June. And now, ma'am, you may have the floor.
My apologies. I did see it after you started reading, so I apologize. So here's what I want to say. Oh God. So first of all, this man has been teaching for over 20 years, and at no point in time did he show up to work in drag. So his drag persona was something that he clearly kept separate from his work persona. That's number one. Number two, it's not a crime to be a drag queen. And I again, the connotation that people that they want us to draw is that there's something wrong with being a drag queen, and that a drag queen is in some way, shape, or form a danger to our children, which is a dangerous thought to put in the minds of everybody, that just because you perform in drag, that means that you are going to somehow do something to the kids, that you're a boogeyman. As far as the charges concerned, one, the charges were dropped. So when they say, how did this person ever get hired? It wasn't on his record. As somebody who worked for the union, I dealt with a couple of cases that weren't exactly the same, but I had a situation with a teacher who had gotten a DUI, and she went into a diversion program. So it didn't show up as a DUI on her record. And they tried to say, oh, well, she lied on her application, but she didn't lie on her application. The DUI came after she had applied. Neither here nor there. I'm frustrated for all of the obvious reasons. And as I was reading through this article, I'm just like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. So this man has been obviously a great educator for 23 years, because he would have never been promoted to assistant principal and then to principal had you not felt like this was a great person for the job. And simply because he chooses to put on a wig and hit some heels and some makeup and lip sync for his life every Saturday night down to the local gay bar, now all of a sudden he's the big bad wolf. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I could do this for hours. Go ahead. I'm that pisses me off.
I find it interesting that not only was the case dismissed, it was expunged.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so there's that's to me equates to doxing at that point. Like
Yeah.
the other part about it is this. You have this man who's been an educator for 25 plus years. What was the thing that put him on the radar to say, I bet you he does drag? You know, how did we get to to that point where and
They said
then
his TikTok. So what happened was somebody found his TikTok. A teacher, a student, a parent, somebody found his TikTok, and then it went from there.
now my other question is just because, and see, this is the nefarious side of this. Even if you say you found his TikTok and you have a problem with him doing drag, how then does that turn to you going scavenging around to see what nefarious crimes he's committed? Because now, to me, what that says to me is, oh, somebody does drag. Oh, they have to have something horrible in their
And if it
background.
was expunged, how did anybody? And I know you just asked
That's
that
my
question.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
understand. Yeah. Because
that
if it was expunged, how does
how did
anybody
you
even
even
know?
know exactly? That's the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I'm
That the
sorry.
point
Yeah,
that I'm making is what you're saying is if he does drag, then obviously he's done something nefarious. Obvious he has some criminal history that involves children, because everyone who does drag has to, have horrible
clearly they
things,
must.
going on with children.
They have to.
And then when you didn't find something, you said, no, that can't be right. Let me go pay some money, hire some PIs or private investigators or whatever system you hire to go and pull up expunged criminal records. And then for you to find out it was expunged, but it's not even that he was convicted on something and got that expunged. The freaking case was dismissed and that got expunged, and you are on this whole, you know, soapbox tirade, whatever, all for what? But this, all the while, we have apocalyptic shortages in education. You got all of this going on, all the while, you have catastrophic, apocalyptic shortages in education. I just want to see what I just want y'all to see where this is going, because I'm gonna tell you what's happening. I'm gonna tell you what's happening. The people out here can say what they want to say. They can make all of the they can there's nobody out here fighting for this like that. There's no outcry about this. By and large, many people who proclaim and profess to be allies or, say, I don't have no problem with them, they're sitting back watching people get railroaded like this. They're sitting back saying nothing. And I'm going to tell you where this is going to go. I just told you we have apocalyptic shortages in teaching. You're going to end up with them putting the people who they want to put in there. Florida already has a rule where they can choose to put military personnel who don't have degrees in the classroom to teach your children. Let's be clear. And what's going to happen is the diminution of the educational system is it's on hyperdrive right now. I could see a year or two from now really be where they're just if the floodgates were open. Anybody, any Yahoo off the street, you don't have a degree, that's fine. How do you feel about black people? How do you feel about minorities? How do you feel about the LGBTQ? You don't like them people? Okay, well then come over, we'll have you. That's what's about to happen. And this is for an education that ranks at the bottom of all first world countries. Let's be clear. United States ranks at the bottom in terms of education for all first world countries. This is where we're going, really. This is where we're going.
I just I wonder, and I know my question is there a union? Is there an administrative union? And what was done? I know they said this has been going on for a while. So this is something that's been a fight for a minute. He was on administrative leave. So it sounds like somebody was fighting it. I don't know if the union was fighting it. I don't know what happened, but I will be interested to know what that looked like over the last however many months that he has been fighting it. Was it him doing it on his own? Does Oklahoma have a union? Like, I will be interested to know what that looks like. I'm going. Yeah. If I were a civil rights attorney, I'd be calling him right now. Like, listen, let's see what we can do, because this just seems so ridiculous to me. Again, he wasn't hired last week. He was a great educator until you found out he was a drag queen. He was a great educator till you found out he was a drag queen. Anyway, I can't.
And then you know what
Why
else
do you
this
start me
does?
with the one that's going to frustrate me?
The other problem that I don't think educators are pushing back on enough specifically happened with regard to this case. So now there's the legislating or the scrutinization of all social media platforms for educators outside of the workplace. Now there's an all-out assault on, okay, you're not allowed to have social media anymore, because when you sign up for this career, I guess you just saying, nope, got to give up social media. Nope, can't do that. Because that's where we're going. That's what we're going to.
Like, I had a principal that used to say that people must think that at the end of the day, teachers just go into a trap door under the school and just stay there until the next day. Like, we have no life. We don't do anything that quote unquote normal people do. We literally just work and disappear for the next 12 hours until it's time to come back to work. And I'm like, that's not it. And again, unless he was literally showing up for work, in drag and, creating some sort of ruckus at work. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay, where we going next? Because you didn't already frustrate me.
We're in Denver next. We're
going to Denver. We're going to Denver next.
I guess we probably shouldn't go to Texas. Then you don't want that, because that's.
I mean, we can go to Texas. I mean,
no. We're going to go to Denver next, but I'm saying maybe we should leave out the Texas article. Because that's dealing with the SPED students, and I know how you are about the SPED students.
Racial discrimination allegations against Denver public schools under investigation.
Oh, this is a good one. This is a good. Oh, wait, really? It's not what you think. Oh, this is a good one. Please, you want me to? I'll read this one. I just want to see your reaction. I'll read this one.
All right. Okay.
The United States Department of Education. The United States Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights is set to delve into complaints of alleged racial discrimination lodged against the Denver public school system. The investigation comes in the wake of two separate complaints filed by the Mountain States Legal Foundation, a known conservative public interest law firm. The first grievance alleges that DPS's Discipline Matrix Committee has been practicing discrimination against applicants based on their race. The second complaint, on the other hand, targets a math extension program at an elementary school, accusing it of setting different eligibility thresholds for white students compared to the students of color. This, according to the complainant, is a violation of Title VI, which prohibits discrimination based on race, color, or national origin in programs receiving federal financial assistance. The OCR will now be tasked with determining whether these practices do indeed exclude or discriminate against individuals based on race, color, or national origin. The investigation is expected to be thorough and impartial, with the OCR having approximately 180 days to resolve the complaints. In total, the Mountain States Legal Foundation has lodged 5 complaints against DPS, with one currently in mediation and 2 others still pending. These additional complaints relate to the selection of committee members and third party vendors based on race. Will Trackman, the general counsel for the foundation, has voiced skepticism towards diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, which he
Oh,
believes can lead to discrimination and division. In response, Denver Public Schools has stated that they rigorously follow the Department of Justice's guidance for equity work. The school's stance is supported by Iris Halpern, a partner at a civil rights law firm who views the coverage of the complaints as overblown. Halpern contends that these issues are being politicized in a way that affects students of color, arguing that the complaints themselves are more divisive than the equity programs they target. So basically, the white people are saying that they don't like any programs that are geared towards students of color. They don't like any extra programs that bring in more students of color. That's a complaint. It's white people complaining of racial discrimination because they're white from the Denver public
so it's
schools.
sort of like how the people was getting mad about affirmative action. Like,
Hmm.
affirmative action was racist simply
Hmm.
because it was, yeah,
Yeah.
because it was trying to even the playing field. That was an
Hmm.
uneven playing field to begin with.
Hmm.
But now that we're trying to even the playing field, it must be racist. Okay, got it.
Hmm. That's what we
Got,
got going on. If you need us,
got
that's what we got going on.
it. I can't. Well, again, going through the history of us doing, listen, I hope you guys are keeping a scorecard, because when we first started doing our podcast, like I said, the vision was a totally different one, and then the panorama happened, and the first dog whistle that we warned you guys about and that we pushed in your brain was CRT, critical race theory, right? And we told you guys, don't get caught up in this critical race theory, right? And then, El Teddy, I've got to give credit where credit is definitely due, definitely was one of the first people I ever heard waving the flag about the legislation that was coming down the pike in Florida as it relates to the Don't Say Gay bill. And we gave you guys those dog whistles, right? Then we moved into school choice, and we broke down what that really means, and we broke down that whole dog whistle. And now it seems to be inclusion and
DEI.
yeah. You guys, you have to be mindful that these are the fancy words they use. And you got to go past the fancy words, and you got to understand what the dog whistle is. The last couple of weeks, we have been doing articles dealing with DEI, and the dismantling of it and the villainization of it. And do not get caught up in the dog whistles of DEI, because it is simply trying to even a playing field that has been uneven.
Well, it really be, we can pat ourselves on the back when you're right as much as we are. You don't have to brag about it because we've talked about this. Listen, I think what's happening is and I'm so glad we have this platform, and I'm so glad we have the opportunity to put these things out here. These things happen under the cloak of darkness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most of the stuff that we've been putting out there, by the time it gets to the mainstream media, it's too late. Legislation has already been passed, referendums have already been enforced, and so forth. So you gotta, and even us, as you know, the people who are putting this out there, we really have to stay vigilant and stay on the cusp of what these people are doing, because like, and really be so astutely went down all of the different things. Now it's DEI. What is next? What is next? And this whole, and I talk about all of the time, where a lot of times things that involve minorities, they focus on one minority, where it's either the black people that they're focusing on, or the LGBTQ people that they're focusing on, and the other groups say, well, that's not my issue, so I ain't got to worry about it, not knowing that everybody ends up getting lumped in together once the law is passed, and it's too late at that point. And then when you find yourself subjected to it, now it's wave the big flag. And I'll give you the perfect example of that. And I speak about this when I speak about this case. The case from Texas with Daryl George, with the young man in Daryl George with the hair, that we've talked about with the dreadlocks.
Oh yes, 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 yes.
The situation there was never intended. That school district's problem wasn't intended to address dreadlocks. It was intended to address boys who have hair that's as long as a girl's hair. It was intended to address trans boys who, or trans girls, I should say, excuse me, there. And they didn't want there to be any chance of a boy being able to do that. None of the other minority groups felt like, oh, that was a problem for them, until it came knocking at your doorstep. And at that point, it was too late. Now we're being reactive instead of being proactive. So we really got to, and like I said, I still have to fault our United States Department of Education and Joseph Robinette Biden, because y'all are still radio silent on so many issues across this country dealing with um education. And if I'm a betting man, I'm gonna be done with this. You know what the next thing that they're gonna start attacking really be? You mentioned it earlier.
Whoops, sorry.
The next thing that they're gonna start attacking really be is going to be the unions. They're going,
Oh,
they are,
he's
they are
already been attacking the unions. I
right.
mean,
They are going to go full throated at that, even in blue states. Hmm. Mark my words, because then they're going to try to blame everything. Oh, we want to eliminate this out of the school system, but the unions won't let us. That's what's coming next, and the unions will look like the big bad guys. Hmm.
as always, as always. All right, are we going over to Indiana, or do you want to go to Florida?
There's no Florida today. We have Indiana and
I
Texas.
mean
Let's do
Texas.
Indiana. Let's
I
do
think
Indiana.
I'm so used to saying.
Right. That was 2023 with Florida. 2024 is the year of Texas. Governor Hot Wheels says he would not be outdone this year.
Said, not I. Don't put me. Don't you do it. Don't you do it.
Right.
Hey, Marnie in the chat says there's a long, methodical effort underway to strip away gains made by Black people, women, and anyone not a rich white male. You better
Well,
say it again for the people in the
Marnie,
back.
it's the big five. It's the big five. White, male, heterosexual, Christian, and rich. That's the big five. The big five. If you fit that, all five of those categories, they're here for you.
You better say it for the people in the back. All right, you guys, let's head on over to Indiana. And I actually have friends that are in education in Indiana. I think I say that every time we have an article from Indiana. But anyway, this is coming from Chalk Beat, Indiana. We've had articles from them before.
Mhm.
This is February the 6th.
Oh, this is a
Indiana's
long one, too.
AD launched a tip line for controversial classroom material. It's already raising concerns about accuracy and privacy. You think you you think this could be a problem? You think?
Just a mess.
Okay, the Indiana Attorney General has unveiled an online. I'm sorry, before I go there, didn't we already have this conversation? Wasn't there another school state that did this a
Hmm.
few years ago? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm okay.
Hmm.
Deja vu. All right. Online portal for complaints about the teaching of race, gender. Yeah, because it was for CRT. I think it was Virginia, wasn't
I
it
think I was
Virginia?
about to say, I think it was Virginia. I was
I
just
think it
about to
was
say that.
Virginia, and we was dealing with
Hmm.
CRT. Okay. A portal for complaints about the teaching of race, gender, and political ideology in schools. An aggressive move that raises concerns about privacy and the veracity of the material made public. The new website, which is announced Tuesday by State Attorney General Todd Rokita, is called Eyes on Education and includes complaints dating back to 2018. Not 2018. You better stop. The website launched with material already posted, but included school districts and state departments of education didn't know about it. But the included school districts, I'm sorry. It lists 13 school districts around Indiana and the Indiana University School of Medicine with links to photos, screenshots, or presentation materials that the office describes as potentially inappropriate. In some cases, the portal also includes the addresses, phone numbers, and emails of people identified in materials. Schools have characterized these materials as incomplete, outdated, or inaccurate. Molly Williams, a representative for the Indiana Department of Education, said the agency was not made aware of the portal when it was under construction or when it launched. The portal represents an escalation of long-standing fight between Rokita and the Indiana school districts over how lessons on race gender are taught in schools. In establishing and promoting the website, Rokita has taken a similar approach to a controversial tip started by Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin for parents to report the vis of teaching at their schools. There appeared to be problems right off the bat. A majority of the districts listed on the portal told Chalkboard they were not contacted by Rokita's office and were unaware of the portal until Tuesday. A press release from the AG's office was sent early Tuesday morning, but not publicly posted on the website until hours later. Rokita's office did not respond to the Chalk Beat's questions about how and when submitted complaints are posted publicly and what an investigation and verification by his office into complaints will entail, whether the office will pursue legal action, and whether the persons identified in the material gave permission for his office to post their contact information online. After at least one district complained about the portal, Rokita's office told that district it would remove the inaccurate material. The ACLU of Indiana said in a Tuesday post on the site formerly known as Twitter. I'm mad they just won't even say X. They just say the site.
Right. The site formerly known this one. Because we
The
ain't doing
site,
all that. We
the
ain't
site
doing all that.
formerly known as Twitter. That I'm
Oh
sorry.
man.
That's the first time I've seen that. I see people say X, formerly Twitter or whatever, but not the
They said
site
the
formerly
site
known
formerly
as
known as
Twitter.
mind you, that's more letters to type, but they'll
Right. It's
they'll
right. It takes more to say that than just X. But anyway, that the website is an effort to intimidate teachers from discussing issues of racial equality and LGBTQ topics. Classroom inclusivity benefits everyone. Classroom censorship does nothing but harm, the group says. The material posted on the Indiana portal take the form of photos and online quizzes and presentations, flags and lessons in the classroom, and overviews of complaints about district's materials. I'm gonna put a pin in real quick. What I find interesting is I would be interested to find out what their curriculum covers. Because if I'm teaching the curriculum, how can I be wrong? But I'm gonna keep reading. They cover a range of topics from copies of school districts' policies on supporting transgender students to an email announcing a college presentation for Black students to a list of sexually sensitive content identified in a school's required reading. Most of the materials posted online are undated, and many others are from 2020 to 2021. When fury over the teaching of race in K through 12 peaked in Indiana and nationwide and culminated in a bill that attempted to ban divisive concepts from K through 12 classrooms. Metadata for the website includes a link for the portal, which ends in Education Liberty, was started in 2022. Rokita, a Republican, has waded into this fight before. In 2021, he released his Parents' Bill of Rights, which took aim, which we did talk about here, just so I just put that out there, which took aim at social emotional learning and critical race theory, terms commonly used as shorthand for broader lessons on gender, sexuality, and race. A former member of Congress, Rokita served in the U.S. House Education Committee. And in a press release, Rokita said his office would investigate complaints submitted to the portal. Our kids need to focus on fundamental education building blocks, not ideology that divides kids from their parents and normal society, Rokita said in the release, which describes the website as a transparency portal for parents and educators. The portal does not include responses from the K 13 school districts, and one university is not clear how or if Rokita's office verified the submissions from the school districts that are named. The portal, oh, I just read that. And while names are redacted in some of the materials, the portal makes other names public. One entry review by Chalkbeat appears to be a screenshot of an online form submitted to Rokita's office with concerns about a school's bathroom policy, with the complaints name, address, email address, and phone number visible. Rokita's office did not say whether this person or other persons gave permission for their information to be posted publicly. Hold on. Let me drop down. Indiana teachers feeling under surveillance. Analysts say the website could potentially have a chilling effect on classroom lessons. John Rogers, director of UCLA's Institute for Democracy, Education, and Access, said it's important for teachers to feel comfortable enough to lead their students through historical lessons and discussions about different experiences within a multiracial democracy, but they're less likely to do so under the threat of being reported to the state. It's very hard to lean into those conversations when you are feeling like you might be attacked publicly and in bad faith. Existing democratic process allows students and educators to share concerns with governing bodies that can then make decisions about what should be allowed in schools, building mutual respect and trust, he said. But the website takes a name and shame approach, Rogers said, that ultimately foments conflict for the sake of conflict and heightens a sense of ill will and mistrust in education. Christopher Lubinsky, director of the Center for Evaluation and Education Policy at Indiana University, said it's not clear how the investigations will work and whether they'll be fair, whether complaints reflect real concerns, and what kind of process is available for individuals accused in the materials, he said. Hold on, we're almost done, you guys. Posting personal information also creates concerns about doxing, a term that refers to publishing people's personally identifiable information without their consent. Many Republican-led states have adopted measures like the tip line or Parents' Bill of Rights. He said, though parents already have the right to view and challenge curriculum as well as attend school board meetings and run for office. He said anecdotal evidence suggests that measures have likely negatively impacted teacher recruiting and retention. They don't have the autonomy they expected. They're feeling under surveillance, he said. They've likened it to McCarthyism.
A couple things that stick out to this in this article, and we haven't talked about this part as much when we talk about these issues, and it may be because this part that I'm going to mention directly just affects the teacher themselves, not necessarily the parent, but the teacher. But in that last paragraph, it mentioned the way that they're doing away with autonomy in the classroom. Because, and let's be clear, there was never complete autonomy as a teacher. Never. There's always been, a curriculum map, a scope and sequence, whatever you want to term it. But there was a certain degree, though, of autonomy that you had if it fell within the confines of, what that school district allows. There's always been a set list of books that were approved and some that were not. That's always been a thing. There's always been benchmarks or standards that you were expected to teach and to help guide you. But there has been the complete abdication of any form of autonomy. Rather, what they're looking for is a scripted education. That's literally what we're going to. Here's the script. Do not deviate from the script. If you deviate from the script, you about to have some issues. That's what we're going to. And that will eliminate the art that is teaching and instruction. Something like that for a really BNI is probably some of the most scary things, because we take ownership of being able to be creative, being able to figure out a way to differentiate our instruction or meet the needs of those students that sometimes is out of the ordinary or out of the norm. And now that we're getting to this where teachers are now being given rote memorization, where we have to memorize the script and only, give the script, and if you deviate one word, syllable, letter, or character, then you're going to end up doxxed. You're going to end up on the news. You're going to end up losing your job and all of these other things. I mean, it's really, really ridiculous. Now, the thing that's scary is the doxing part is what is scary now, because now what they're saying is it is open season, and these yahoos on the right have proven they will come to your house. They will take you out of here. They will take you out of here. You can lose your life at the hands of these people. And none of these we don't say, like they say in the jokes, F them kid. You know how they say F them kid. But if you're talking about my life and something like that, that's not a hard decision, because I'm not going to let you put me in harm's way when now you put my personal email, my phone number, my address, people showing up at my house all times of day and night and stuff like that. I don't have the type of time and or energy. And these people today, in the year of our Lord 2024, have shown us they will do that. They will not stop until they get blood or worse.
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, I definitely I understand. Some people might think it's being extreme by saying McCarthyism or even a Gestapo or a KGB type feel, because that's exactly that environment. And you were working under the guise of the environment that the minute you say something wrong, that now not only can it cost you your job, but because it has become public information, now I'm running the risk of somebody showing up at my home. And so it is not being extreme. It is not taking something to another level of being melodramatic to say that this could cost me my physical safety and my livelihood. And that's why I said we have to be careful, because when we're talking about somebody who teaches social sciences and English are probably the most vulnerable to these laws. I know science is vulnerable, I get it, but we're probably the most vulnerable because of
Mhm.
books. Anybody can interpret a book being, 1 minute it's a classic, the next minute it's banned. Like, and then with social sciences, I teach psychology as well as history. And like, for example, in my curriculum for US history, Stonewall is part of my curriculum. LGBTQ falls under the unit dealing with civil rights. So now you put me in a position where either I'm teaching the curriculum that I've been told to teach, even if I follow word for word what the state has given me, I still could be reported per this tip line. Or B, I don't teach it, and now I'm not following the curriculum that I'm being. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you
It's a
put me in a
catch 22.
you put me in a catch 22. Same thing with you. Uh, I'm just gonna throw a random book out. Their Eyes Are Watching God, which was once a book that was approved. I mean, I know when I taught English, which was many moons ago. Be quiet, Trey, don't you say
It's
nothing.
still on the AP Lit
Right.
exam.
So I'm teaching Their Eyes Are Watching God, but now when I'm teaching about, incest, or we're talking about, molestation, now all of a sudden, now I have to figure out how I'm going to teach it. But you told me it was okay to teach this book, and I don't know how to teach this book and circumvent 90% of the book. The girl was mute 90% of the like, I don't know how to do this. And
Right.
so that is why
Mm.
this isn't just about reporting teachers who are doing things that are outside of the norm. Now it's about you're reporting me doing my job. And once again, I know I go down this road every week. I feel like I'm always on this road every week. But once again, it brings me back around to Florida, where now literally teachers can be considered felons.
And now you can't vote.
Right. Not only not vote, but lose my teacher's license. Now you done took my whole damn livelihood. Because now I'm a felon because I taught a book that I was told I could teach, but I just didn't teach it the way you wanted me to teach it.
And
And it was subjective depending on who showed up for work that day.
right. And now that I'm a felon, I can't vote. So even if I wanted to vote you out of office so we can get laws changed, I
I can't.
cannot do that.
Right. And then don't you find it interesting? And is it not, forget about us little peons that are just teaching the kids on the front line? Is it not the height of disrespect that the governor did this without even giving the respect to the districts to say, hey, we're getting ready to launch this whole website, FYI. How do you not know? How does the governor not have the decency to reach out to his or her superintendents throughout his state and say, hey, got this coming?
Well, the other disrespectful part about it is they make these tip lines and things as if, oh, this is a new phenomenon, as if parents never had the option or right to call the school, call the district, and make a report of anything. This
Mm-hmm.
is creating something that was already in place and there, but now
Absolutely.
they got this extra thing. You want to know why is this extra thing? Because they have specific things that they want you to look for. They want to add an extra stank on it because we don't want these minorities having any sense of thinking that they're equal to us now. So we have an extra tip line for you that's aside from the one that was already there. But if anything, you know, you see making a minority feel like they're on the same, level or same playing field as the people descended from the Caucasus Mountains, that's going to be a problem.
It just, you guys, again, you know, anybody who lives in the state of Indiana, you need to figure it out. You need to find your local school board. You need to find, go there. And again, we can't stress enough that you do not have to have a child in a school to be a stakeholder. You are a stakeholder in the district that you live merely for the fact that you pay taxes in that district. You are allowed to show up at school board meetings. You are allowed to speak at school board meetings. If your city or town has a city council or whatever the governing body is, you have a right to show up. And whatever the process is for you to be able to speak, you have a right to do that. And so I know that that might not sound like enough, but if enough people show up, it is. It is. So Indiana, we putting you on the Indiana's on the sheet. Indiana is on the sheet. Um are we heading? We have you want do you want to leave I know we're on a time crunch today. Do you want to leave Texas for next week or do you want to go ahead and knock it out?
It's up to you. It's a pretty short article, but it touches your stuff that you are passionate about. It doesn't say
Oh.
Michelle Reed. Don't worry about it. It does not say Michelle Reed.
Listen, don't bring her name
Oh.
up. She's like, listen, she's like Voldemort. You know what I mean? Once you bring her name up,
I
it's a
got to
whole
pull
other
the
thing.
article says federal complaint alleges Texas school district discriminated against students due to race and disability. A federal complaint filed Tuesday alleges a
Hmm.
school district in Texas is discriminated against students based on their race and disabilities, leading them to be pushed out of school and at times incarcerated. The complaint was filed by four civil rights groups on behalf of two complainants to the Department of Justice, alleging the Bonham Independent School District has violated federal civil rights laws and the Constitution by creating a hostile environment on the basis of a person's race or disability. In a statement from the four groups, they say students with disabilities at BISD were not given proper accommodations to get their education. The group alleged the groups allege the students were then pushed out of school through the truancy process, which occurs when students miss too many days of school. Our client with quote, our client with disabilities was entitled to reasonable accommodations, but he was incarcerated 3 times in 12 months due to the school's failure to properly accommodate him, which caused him to break his terms of probation. End of quote. And that's according to Olivia Lee, an attorney with Disability Rights Texas. She went on to say, quote, one of those 3 times when the truancy court ordered him to drop out of school, an order that directly conflicted with his probation term to graduate. End of quote. Regarding racial discrimination at the school, this group's alleged Black students have faced racial slurs with no condemnation of the actions from the district. In addition, the complaint says the school resource officer is racially targeting students. According to a statement, quote, racial slurs that were said to one complainant and other Black students, such as the N word, cotton picker, and black monkey, were not unequivocally rebuked by school administrators who heard them. End of quote. Texas Appleseed, Disability Rights Texas, National Center for Youth Law, and Texas Civil Rights Project are asking the Justice Department to investigate the matter and put an end to the school's practices. The Justice Department, I'm sorry, The Hill, which is where this comes from, has reached out to BISD for comment, to no avail. The Justice Department said it has received the complaint but has no comment at this time. The 4 groups also filed a complaint to the Texas Education Agency against Corpus Christi ISD for discriminating against students with disabilities by allegedly pushing them out of school through the truancy process as well. That's the article.
So I guess we just gonna throw IDEA out the window, right? We just gonna say F it. We're just gonna, because here's the thing: if you're following IDEA, and let's be clear, as somebody who has worked under IDEA, I am not a special education teacher, but I have in my background done things that have put me in close proximity to working with IDEA more so than maybe the average teacher would. I'm very clear on what it says you can and cannot do. And I'm very clear on discipline and what that looks like. And I'm very clear on how many days a child can be suspended without a manifestation meeting. And I'm very clear on what a manifestation meeting is, what it looks like, how it should be conducted, the questions that should be asked, and what should happen as a result of that manifestation meeting. I'm also clear that every single time a student with a disability has to face punishment, suspension, I should say, past that threshold, there should be a manifestation meeting every single time. So here's where I'm confused. Show me how we're confused about this, El Taddy. If we're following IDEA, what's the problem?
Where was the FAB? Where was the BIP? Even before we get to the manifest, there's so many processes here.
That goes back to what we were saying about that young man, that little boy. He wasn't no young man. That little boy that assaulted his teacher with the weapon he got from his house back down in Virginia. I'm trying to be careful with my words. Down in Virginia, when they read his IEP, said that when he came to school, his mama had to come with him and sit down with him. And I said, that's not even how that works. That's not how an IEP works. That's not how any of this works. And so again, I say, I don't understand how. I get it that the resource officer is maybe targeting, students of color more so than non-students of color, with students with disability and all of that. Like, I get all of that. I agree. All that's probably happening. But now, where is the school doing what they're supposed to be doing to make sure that it's not becoming a punitive situation? And I mean, did I misunderstand the article?
No, you ain't misunderstand nothing. The other thing that I think, and we've seen this really be over the course of our career, the whole truancy issue, where they'll pass the kid along, suspend them, do all of this stuff until you 16. All right, go ahead. Matter of fact, now
let me tell you something.
you know they'll put them out of school. If you
Go
come on the
ahead.
ground,
Go ahead.
you
I'm sorry.
get accused of trespassing. Now they calling the police. Now you getting arrested because you just trying to come
Mm-hmm.
to school. And if you don't go to school, you done violated the probation from the last time they had you arrested. You see what I'm saying? There's this whole situation.
Oh,
But
I
go
know.
ahead.
Listen, when I worked for the nonprofit, when I worked for the nonprofit, I'm gonna say this, and then we're going to get out of here. But I mean, I'll let you have the last word. But I'm gonna say this. When I worked for the nonprofit, and the nonprofit I worked for was uh, without going into too much detail, it was a nonprofit for parents who had students with disabilities and felt like they needed assistance outside of being able to hire an attorney. By law, under IDEA, every state has one. If you have a student with disability, every state has one. Anyway, so literally one day our phone starts blowing up. There was a principal at a particular school in DC that literally called. You remember under not No Child Left Behind, but the again, no, it was a part of the No Child Left Behind that said that states would get a ding if they had to have the kids graduate in their cohort. So
Mhm.
if you were the class of 2024, and if for whatever reason you weren't graduating in the class of 2024, it affected your report card. You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm.
Right. So this principal sat down with the school counselor, I guess, and looked at all of the kids who were not going to graduate within their cohort, like didn't have a shot at doing it. Literally did a Joe Clark, called all of them down to the auditorium and gave them
Mhm.
a letter kicking them out of school, right?
Oh, I listen. I've seen it. They would count
No,
down
I
to
know
the
that's what I'm
birthday.
saying. And so
To the birthday.
literally the phone starts blowing up because of course all of our parents are calling us because our parents who meaning the parents who had kids with disabilities are like, wait a my child just like literally got sent home in the middle of the day with this letter. And when we got the first call, we were like, maybe you send us a copy of the letter, maybe you're reading it wrong. But after like the third or fourth call, we were like, what in the heck is this principal doing? So yeah, it's crazy when you start talking about the games they play with the truancy situation.
Because and they would literally start to look at birthday. Okay, when is their birthday? I've seen administrators say, "Bro, you got 14 more days, and you out of here." Just counting down the days because it was a couple things they didn't want them to count poorly toward test scores. If they tested poorly, they didn't want all of the different metrics by which the school was graded. All of the different analytics that will be affected by this student, be it a SWD, SWD student or whatnot. And then you got you got to double for your trouble if you got them out after you had already got your money for the year. If they had already
Oh, definitely. Oh yeah,
if
we
they had
definitely
already
saw
got the
that.
money for you and you were like a student with disability, which sometimes gets double or triple the money, baby, they done got that money and then they're gonna put you out of school. Said thank you for your money. Please get out. If you come back, you're trespassing. They would even do it in Florida at one point. You could do it to even middle school because we had some middle schoolers because of the third grade retention. We had some eighth graders that was 16. And at that time, this is especially during my early years, we could put out a 16-year-old even in middle school and say, bruh, you got to go to adult ed in order to get your high school diploma or finish.
So now they're putting them in night
And
school.
now then they passed the law you couldn't do it in middle school, you could only do it in high school. And then they passed the law saying if you did it in high school, so they got better about it. But they still have these in some states they never changed it, they never tried to do anything about it. And like we keep saying, the DOE is over there like there's nothing to see here, nothing to do here. Education is great, and you got states out here willfully violating federal laws, willfully violating federal laws. Y'all ain't looking into it. And the fact that you don't already have checks and balances or checkpoints or different people who are monitoring these things, you got to have watchdog organizations and stuff that go and bring the situation up to you, because left to yourselves, you would never do anything about it. You would act like everything is fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, go ahead. You guys get on over to El Teddy 27. Do not, and I repeat, this is not a drill. You guys stay with El Teddy until he's done. I'm going to see if Simone can push it back. But if not, y'all stay over there and then y'all come on over when he's done, you guys.
But you know, we're gonna try and get through in record time.
I have a special guest. I didn't realize the time. I have a special guest. So I'm gonna see if she can push it back a little bit. But I'll you know. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, you guys. Thank y'all for being here. Meet us over at El Teddy's. Talk to y'all later.